Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make this blue birthday themed edible fruit arrangement. Alright, let's get started. First we're going to need white chocolate. Place it in a microwavable bowl and microwave for about 50 seconds. If you need to microwave it for a little bit longer, I do 30 seconds at a time. It will take some time to get all the chocolate chips smoothed out, but you'll get there. Now it's time to add some coloring. This is to make the blue chocolate. You can of course also buy blue chocolate, but I wanted to show you how we might make it if we didn't have any on hand. I prefer the gel or oil-based food coloring for chocolate. It still gets a little bit stiff, so you do have to add a bit of oil to your chocolate. You can of course add cocoa butter. I'm just using regular oil though for this, especially because I'm just using a white compound chocolate. I'm going to add more food coloring to this because I want to get a darker blue. I'll keep adding until I get the color that I'd like. It did take me quite a few drops, not just a few, quite a lot of drops to get the color that I want. Naturally, like I said, it's easier to just buy the color that you want. And it probably tastes better, but I didn't have any on hand and this was a request for an order, so I did need to make blue chocolate. I'll place a link below to the different kinds of food coloring that I do prefer, or at least the one that I'm using. Now it's time to cut the apples for this arrangement. Be sure to wash your fruit before you cut them. I'm cutting them into wedges, and then I'm actually going to cut off the core after, just like this. Now it's time to put bamboo skewers into the apples. Carefully insert the pointed end into the apple where the skin is. Now it's time to dip our apples into our milk chocolate. I melted this milk chocolate the same way I did the white chocolate in the beginning. Now I'm going to get some score bits and we're going to cover these dipped apples with the score. Again, I'll put a link below so that you can get these ingredients like the milk chocolate or the score. Now, score is a heavier topping that we put on our fruit. So I actually rotate my fruit a little bit, as you can see. And what that does is it prevents the score from running as the chocolate runs down. Just because the score is heavy, it kind of starts to slide down. So let your chocolate harden a little bit before you put it into your fruit holder. And again, I just wanted to show you how I might rotate it before all the score and chocolate slides down. Now it's time to get some blue on our apples. We're going to use blue sprinkles for this. Notice I'm shaking my dipped fruit quite a bit to remove the excess chocolate. Again, excess chocolate will make a lot of the toppings that you put run down, so we don't really want to do that. You want them to stay on the fruit, so try to take off as much excess as you can. Now it's time to use the blue chocolate that we made. Because I did the apples first, the chocolate did harden just a little bit. So of course I just microwaved it again for the 50 seconds or 30 seconds, depending on how hard your chocolate got. Time to cut our pineapple for this arrangement. You're going to want a long, sharp knife to cut this, and you are going to cut them into about 1/3 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. 1/2 an inch might be too big, so probably 1/3 of an inch for your slices. Now it's time to get the cookie cutter of your choice. I'm using a daisy and a cupcake for this arrangement. So place your pineapple slice down, put your cookie cutter on top, and use your knife to push it down. It's hard to get the cookie cutter through the pineapple without doing this, It really helps a lot. Just don't cut yourself. If you're not comfortable to do that, just use your hands to push it down. And this is kind of what it'll look like. After I've cut the slices into the shapes that I wanted, I trim them a little bit just because there's usually kind of pieces sticking out of the pineapple, and this just helps it look neater. And it helps when you dip your fruit in the chocolate. You won't get as much straggly pieces here and there. Now get a parchment sheet and place it on your table. That's where you're going to put your dipped pineapple. I'm going to start with the cupcake and dip the bottom part of the cupcake slice. That's going to make it look more like a cupcake, or at least I'm going to try to make it look more like a cupcake. Now I'm going to dip the daisy. And of course, you want to shake off all the excess chocolate on your pineapple slice. The reason for this is so that when you lay it down to dry, you don't get a lot of excess chocolate spilling over and hiding the shape that you've cut out. It just makes it more clear what the shape of your fruit is. Now I'm just going to use some of the blue chocolate as the daisy center. My daisy is already dried, or the milk chocolate is already dried on the daisy, and it's a good time to put the center of the daisy on it. Now it's time to dip the tops of the cupcakes, and you want to make sure that you've got all of the pineapple covered. And again, take off as much excess as you can. I wasn't able to do that with the very first one, so that if you can see that blue bit on the parchment paper, that was just excess blue chocolate from the very first cupcake that I dipped. I had to pick it up and place it on another spot so that all that excess would be, not visible, and you can still see the shape of the cupcake. I added some blue sprinkles on the blue chocolate as well to make it like the blue sprinkle decoration that a lot of cupcakes have nowadays. And you're going to just sprinkle it on top before the blue chocolate dries. Now it's time to cut our melons. I'm going to start with honeydew, and I have this really cool tool to take out the seeds. As you can see, it makes it so easy. I'll put a link below for where you can get this. I'm going to cut the honeydew into wedges, and the best way to do that is to cut it in half, turn it, cut that in half again, turn it, and cut the wedges in half, these larger wedges in half, and same thing. You should have 8 wedges from each half melon. Now you're going to take a paring knife and take off the little bit slimy part of the middle and then the skin. Now we're going to put bamboo skewers on them, and it's best to have the pointy end up. It's more aesthetic when you build your bouquet. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the cantaloupe. Remove the seeds, cut it into wedges, take off the skin and the slimy parts, and put them on bamboo skewers. I had this already prepared, but it's really simple to do. You just need your clean pot, iceberg lettuce stuffed into the pot until it's firm, and then you're going to wash kale and put those outward facing into the pot. I usually place the stems of the kale basically between the pot and the iceberg lettuce. It just keeps it firm. Now you're going to put your honeydew and cantaloupe into the pot. I had used longer bamboo skewers, so if you have to cut them, you can definitely cut them. I use a tool from Fiskars that it's actually a gardening tool, but it's perfect for this. It can cut the bamboo skewers really easily and it holds the bamboo skewers really well. And because it's so pointy and thin, it fits right in between the different fruit when I'm having to insert fruit into the arrangement. I like to do an alternating pattern with my honeydew and cantaloupe. It just gives it a little bit more color than kind of all the same in one side or all the same in one row. And this is what it should look like by the time you've put in all of your honeydew and cantaloupe into your pot. Now I'm going to start putting in our dipped fruit. I don't have any particular placements for anything. It's really just where I think it looks best, and that's something probably that will come from experience. One thing I do is I do spread out the different kinds of toppings all over the arrangement so that it looks more uniform. I don't really try to clump up anything in like any particular toppings in one side. It just looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing when all the different toppings are kind of spread out. One thing I do is I try to find spots where I see there's a lot of kale visible, and that's where I tend to put the fruit in, especially the bigger pieces. The pineapple pieces that I'm putting in right now, they're quite heavy, so I actually like to place them so that it balances the weight of everything. So I've got these two heavy pineapple pieces, but I'm going to then put the cupcake pineapple slices in the back to balance the weight. All right, I'm all done. I hope you like it, and I hope whoever received it liked it too. I know it's delicious, so I'm comfortable with that. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you'd like to watch more tutorials like this.